The Anglers Extra Pregame Show rolls on with the Manager's Show. Alongside John Schiffner, I'm Jonny Wincott. As the YD Red Sox come to town with a date with the Chatham Anglers. Schiff, how you doing today?
Been better.
Last night, another tough loss for your squad, 12-7. We always talk about on the broadcast that it's really three important aspects of the game. You got the offense, the defense, and the pitching. Yesterday, was it just the offense was there, the defense and the pitching was not?
Nah, it was not. We just weren't ready to play. Maybe 2 days in a row was too many days in a row off for these guys. I don't know. They were not ready to play. That does happen. It's just not a good time of the year. We jumped out early, should have got more runs than we did, and just couldn't hold the lead. So, we gotta rally the troops, see what we can do. I mean, I do really think they want to play. They want to see if they can make the playoffs, and let's go.
And to make matters worse, Patrick Mazika and Nick Collins have been bitten by the injury bug. Has this made your job a little bit more stressful this summer than previous summers with all of these injuries?
No question. Where are you gonna replace those guys? You're trying. We brought in Nick Sorrentino from BC. He's going to do some catching for us, and great reputation as a catch and throw guy, and that's going to be a big help for us. But takes the pressure off those guys. But it looks like Pat might be done. We're not totally sure, but his protocols are not. The baseline stuff is not coming around like it should, like we thought it should. So the concussion might be a little bit more. I don't want to use the word severe, but worse than mild, so to speak, because his symptoms have kind of like stagnated, and Nick's knee is bugging him, and again, not a bad thing, but it's also a wear and tear thing. And we look out for these kids first. I mean, that's the most important thing for me, is to make sure these kids leave here. If they're dinged up, they're going to be dinged up to the point where they can be healed fast. We don't want to overplay them so they're going to get an injury that's going to affect their career. So, it's tough. And then, we lost those four infielders. They take off on us. It's tough. It's tough to replace this time of year with the Cape Cod quality players, because there's so many summer leagues that the kids are all tied up in. So it makes recruiting, secondary recruiting very difficult.
I asked you this question 2 weeks ago about the injuries. Had this been more than previous summers? And you said no, it happens all the time, every summer. Now I ask you the question again. Maybe 3 or 4 more guys have gone down since then. Now is it a little bit surplus?
This is getting to be a little extraordinary. We got Jake Fraley on one wing, or one leg. I mean, he's day to day, and he just said today it's going to be tough to go. His groin acts up on him, and so he's going to sit down today, but he's, it looks like he can go one game on, one game off, one game on, one game off. And, it's just, again, it's the grind that these kids go through. And that's, it's part of the experience of being here. It's going to be, even more of a grind sometimes in pro baseball because of the road trips they're going to have to take. That's, you got 8 to 10 hour bus rides in some of these leagues, where at least, the road trip here is 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So you get home in a pretty reasonable time and get some rest, where, I did it, that's a tough grind. You try to get some sleep, and a very old, coach, they're not exactly the most comfortable things to sleep on. So this is a testing ground for that.
You talked about Nick Sorrentino. He just got here today, thrown right into the fire. He'll bat ninth and catch. Now, I'm going to guess the connection is just that you have Chris Shaw and Jeff Burke here. Was he an easy access to get up?
As soon as Nick went down, and Danny O'Keefe, our trainer, said, it might be meniscus, and it's not as bad as Danny first suspected, which is great news. But he says Nick's going to have to go down for a few days. So with Mazika not allowed to play and still getting headaches from his concussion, we had to so it was like, okay, first person to raise their hands who knows the catcher is available. Boom, Chris Shaw's hand went up. Sorrentino's available, coach. I said, call him now. And it was about the 3rd inning. And by the 5th inning, we had him on his way. So we just had to make sure we cleared it with the league. But his parents said, yes, go ahead, go up to the Cape Cod League. And he got here right around noon. So it was one of the quickest pickups in the history of the Chatham Anglers.
Was that maybe the most desperate that you've ever been for a player here on the Cape?
No. I've got the great story. It's somewhat documented in the Last Best League, Jim Collins' book. One player we figured was going to stay for the season. I was told he was staying for the season. He told me he was staying for the season, and so did the California Angels, and they decided they wanted to sign him a week and a half earlier. So now and then we find out that one of my pitchers had to go home because his father was very ill, and we already had a depleted pitching staff. So it was like, oh boy, what are we going to do? 2 guys left, and the guy that left was the starting pitcher for that night. So I gather all the players together right at the corner of that dugout, and I say, hey, anybody who's not tied up in a college summer league that could come in and pitch? kid from George Washington raised his hand. He goes, Coach, my buddy so-and-so, he was on the New England Collegiate League and things happened, so he left the team. He's available. I said, great. Give him a call. He says, no, Coach, he's right there. And he pointed at him. He's sitting in the bleachers. We got him in a pair of sweatpants and a T-shirt and threw him down the bullpen, and we tried him out and signed a contract right there. So, yeah, that's about as desperate as you can get. And he actually pitched fairly well for us. We had maybe 8 games left, and he pitched in 3 of the games and did, he didn't stand people upside down, but he pitched very, very well, and he bridged us to some of the other guys that keep us through the season.
If you're ever extremely desperate, up in that green little hut, Tom and I are there, but
Easy.
All right, we'll move on.
You guys out in the outfield.
Not good?
Uh,
All right, well, we'll stop.
How you doing?